Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. It is, what day is it? What day is it? I don't know what day it is. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday, and we're back again for another STARJUMP Shipyard. I got both mics on, more on that in a bit. I know sometimes it looks ridiculous that I'm rocking both mics, but we're doing that because of some side tone issues. Hopefully you can all deal with that. Anyways, nice to see everybody. It is a cool day. New ship release. So as I told you all before, shipyards will occur on Wednesdays kind of moving forward, because that tends to be when we get, behind the ships episodes and new stuff. Tuesdays has been a little thin with CIG's new content cadence. So I wanted to move the Tuesday stream to Wednesday. Okay. Plus I'm traveling this weekend a little bit, so it made sense to get the stream done today. Highlight the new ship and, take a deep dive look into it. And there's a few other little things we're going to go over as well. So we're not going to waste a lot of time. We're going to jump right into it. Okay, I'll hit the sponsors here momentarily. But just to keep that quick and short for this particular episode, obviously, iconcity.com. Make sure you go over there, use the code STARJUMP. Pigeon Spaceport, makers of the awesome Scorpius model. Make sure you go to pigeonspaceport.com. Use the STARJUMP code as well. And then, of course, Beam Eye Tracker. Okay, I am now sponsored by Beam, or an affiliate, whatever you want to call it. Please use the Beam Eye Tracker affiliate link there if you want to use my code. Benefits you, benefits me. I do appreciate it. Oh, C Daddy CIG is in chat. C Daddy, nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for coming to hang out a little bit. Like I said, everyone, it's a cool day. We're talking about the Argo Moth, and we are going to get to that. Got a few other things to go through real quick, though. We might as well do it. First and foremost, there's a moth giveaway going on. Okay. I think I already announced that on Twitter and everything, or X, whatever you want to call it. But go check it out. You can scan the QR code there, or use the link that I just pinned down in chat. I'm going to be giving this away. Actually, let me pin that into chat. That's probably a smart thing for me to do. Let me go ahead and pin that real quick. But anyways, I'll be giving this away on Sunday, this coming Sunday. And so get into it now. This will be the Argo Moth with the Lovestruck paint. So you get the cool violet Lovestruck paint with it. And I think LTI, and I think there's a Star Citizen game package with it. So you get kind of a whole package there, courtesy of our amazing friends at Cloud Imperium Games. So appreciate that support. So yeah, get in on that. That's the giveaway going on right now. But also don't forget, I do have a Drake Ironclad giveaway going on as well. That will be, we'll be doing that drawing on May 31st. If you want to get in on the Drake Ironclad giveaway and didn't already get in on it, go to that Gleam link that I just posted down in chat, and you can you can get your tickets for that one as well. So many people ask why I do it through Gleam, because it makes the email retrieval side of the giveaway much easier. Heads up though, if you have, some of the Gleam link things are to follow the channels, all that kind of stuff. If you've already done that in the past, it will automatically register that. Just click on the link to follow on Twitch or follow on X. It will detect that you're followed and give you that ticket. Okay. You don't have to unfollow and refollow or anything like that. It automatically detects it. Okay. So yeah, Argo Moth giveaway. I didn't know if CIG was going to provide us with one of these to give away, but they did. And I was pretty excited about it. Pretty excited. Some other stuff that happened today. Coramore, or Valentine's Day, but Coramore 2956 happening. Pretty wild suit of armor, by the way. I do hope CIG does more of this animated armor, but with maybe more industrial theme sets and stuff like that. That'd be really cool. But Coramore has officially started. There is a free fly event going on right now that hopefully everyone gets in on, or you recommend Star Citizen to your friends. That'd be good. If they're not using your referral code, which by all means, get them to use your referral code. But if they are not, please use mine. Posting that down in chat. I am trying to get to 50 referrals, because when I get to 50 referrals, we will put the MISC Raptor Street Sweeper into Fleet Viewer. Okay, I'm giving you my word on that one. if I can get to 50 referrals. I'm doing good. I'm up to 23. So C Daddy CIG says free fly starts tomorrow. Thank you. Yes, you're right. It says February 12th through the 23rd. Thank you for that clarification, C Daddy. I thought it had already started, but nice to see that clarification made. Heartseeker. This is your chance to get the Heartseeker kit, I guess you'd call it, kit for the Super Hornet Mark II. So good time to get that. I love the I love the Heartseeker kit. I believe it's one I own, if I'm not mistaken. I believe I own it. Obviously, there's some Love Struck paints that happens every year, so really cool. Looks like they're focusing on some industrial ships here with the Misk Fortune. Is that the Fortune? Yeah, I think that's the Fortune. The Salvation, and of course, the Moth. Yes, Misk Fortune. Okay, there we go. So your chance to get the Love Struck paints if they suit you. Then they have a little sort of, what is this, a contest? Again, real quick, everyone. All the news for today, including the news about the ship, I am literally seeing for the first time. Because I have been so busy at work today, I have not had a chance to look at any of it. So you're 100% getting like the initial reaction from me. Okay. And thank you for the follows and the subscriptions on both YouTube and Twitch. I do appreciate you. Thank you very much. That is lovely to see. I do appreciate it. Demolish the Enemy over on Twitch. Thank you. Thank you. And then we had some subscribes over on the YouTube side. Demolish and FJ. Again, thank you. Neutralon, thank you for the follow. So yeah, it looks like we got a sort of community contest here. Sort of, I guess you're going to tell a story about a meet cute in the verse. Taking off in your favorite ship, some sort of really great story that made you fall in love with the game. Go read the details on that. It's on the RSI website under the Coramore 2956 tab. There's a referral bonus. Got to get that referral bonus. You get the new recruit gets the aerial armor. One of the coolest armors in the game, by the way. I'm just going to say that. I'm a big industrial player, and it's my favorite armor set. It's actually still my favorite armor set in the game. I own all the color variations, the red, the orange, the silver, I think there's like a black cherry version as well. Yes, I did see that, Solomon. We will be getting to the roadmap roundup. And then, of course, the Argo Moth, our new ship, which we're going to talk all about in deep dive. Some starter packs here. Salvager, if I can talk right, the Salvager Love Struck starter pack. Really cool. Probably a pretty good deal. I have not looked at these yet. And the Advanced Hauler Love Struck starter pack. I'm not the biggest fan in the Nomad myself. I think it's a really interesting ship. You know what? I should do a show one day on the Nomad, my thoughts on it. My thoughts on the Nomad are very complex, actually. There's parts of it I really love and parts of it I don't love. I actually really love the interior. I think they did a killer job of the interior. And I hope some of that comes into the Pioneer. But the Salvager starter pack is probably the one I would go for if I was to get another starter pack. The Salvation's a really cool little ship, and then obviously looks like you get some armor and weaponry with that. So go check those out if they interest you. Again, a bunch of offers down here for different ships and paints and all that kind of good stuff. It does look like there is a Coramore bear and hologram set, which is kind of cool. That is new. I haven't seen that one yet. There's Coramore decor collection, which you can get in on, and a weapon and armor collection. What else do we have? We have the Arden SL Coramore edition. Okay, and the Arden SL Coramore edition. So the Fate armor set and the Kismet armor set. There you go. All kinds of stuff. So if you're a fan of the Coramore thing, you like those color accents, go check it out. There's a lot of stuff as a part of this sort of sale promotion. And then there is a CCU pass here for the Zeus Mark II CL. Oh boy, that's another ship I need to do a show. You know what? I need to do a show soon on ships I have conflicted feelings about. The Zeus CL just went into my melt bucket. My ships I'm going to melt. In usage, I just found I use the Asgard much, much more as a hauler. So much so that it kind of made the CL just sit and collect dust. I really, really love the Zeus exteriors. I think that's still one of the coolest looking ships. But yeah, so conflicted feelings about the Mark II CL. Anvil F7C Mark II, obviously up for CCU path. Is that a Warbond CCU? Yep, both of them are. And then again, Coramore vehicles. I'm not going to deep dive all these or anything. You can go to the sale page and look at them, but it looks like there's a whole host of ships up for sale. Quite a few Argo ships. So if you're an Argo fan or an industrial fan, there's quite a few options there. Scorpius back up. I did unmelt that recently. I love the Scorpius. It doesn't even matter if the ship is doing good in the meta or doing bad in the meta. I just love the Scorpius. Ever since CIG came out with that missile turret that allows you to sort of use the ship as a kind of a missile boat solo, I've used the hell out of the Scorpius. I still love its design. I'm really hoping that the Aurora Mark II has some Scorpius stylings injected into it. That's kind of my big hope. So we'll see. By the way, good turnout tonight. Appreciate it. 124 over on Twitch, 132 over on YouTube. So yeah, there is Coramore. Go check it out. Again, like I said, a lot on offer this year for Coramore. A lot of ships, armor sets, paints, all that stuff. It's in the past there's been some Coramores that I feel like not near this much stuff was on offer. So maybe I'm just remembering wrong, but I feel like there's a ton of stuff on offer for Coramore this year. So make sure you go to the link I just threw down in chat and go check that out, robertspaceindustries.com, and go check it out. Deep dive it. Next, it's a roadmap roundup day. It's a roadmap roundup day. I always love these. Not as much as I love the PU monthly reports, but it is nice to see the roadmap roundups. Let's go ahead and take a look. First, addressing the 4.6.0 release view. New resource gathering missions here. It says implemented and expanded a list of missions to our resource gathering archetype. Find, gather, and deliver raw or refined mineable ores or salvageable ship pieces for a variety of corporations. Scheduled to come in a 4.6.x patch that's been set to release. That is specifically, I think, talking about this stuff here, which we'll talk about later in the show. Obviously, the Argo Moth, the new multi-crew salvager, now set to released. And then the medical light armor Chiron set to released. Okay, part of the Clearing the Air event. Okay, moving on to 4.7, the Claw Salamanders faction outfits. I think this is a group, multiple outfit variants for the Claw Salamanders gang and Nyx, a complete light armor, a cape, and a mask again. So all throughout this year, I think you can all be prepared for a lot of Nyx stuff coming into the game. So, oh, it's Beg for Mercy in chat. Beg, hope you're doing well, buddy. Beg is a member of Enemy Contact, the org that helped me out significantly during the Clearing the Air event. And I've had just an awesome time talking to them and getting into conversations with them. Great group of people over there. If you're looking for an awesome org, Enemy Contact. Enemy Contact. Okay. There's also a light combat armor, implementing a rework of the light combat armor in the Persistent Universe. So that card is set to get a new visual. So is the heavy combat armor. So a couple of art updates there. Again, all that set to 4.7. Last we heard 4.7 is coming in March. Yeah, Beg, I'll be around this weekend. I won't be playing this weekend because I'll be traveling, but I will have my laptop with me, so I'll probably pop into chat and talk spaceships with you all. Depending on how well my laptop does, though, I may be able to jump into game, though. It's just been incredibly busy 2 weeks, man. I hate it. My work has been killing me lately, just absolutely killing me. Progress tracker, crafting tier 0. Work on that is extended to March 27th. So again, we knew that. We knew crafting was still going on. No big surprise there. Inventory rework, it says implementing an improved experience with inventory management, extended to March 27th. I just did that Evocati tech build playtest with the new inventory system. Those of you who remember, I thought it was great. It looks very much like what the concept art they shared looked like. A little less colorful, but it looked functionally the same. There was still some lag going on when I was trying it out. It wasn't near as bad as the current inventory system, but there was still a little bit of noticeable lag. I have a feeling, though, that was more tied to the server and stuff like that. The game was kind of choking a little bit when I tested it out, but early signs seem to, at least in my experience, the early signs were this is going to be amazing and a real game changer. So I didn't get to like fully test out each, all the new features of the new inventory system, but it felt good. It felt really good. All right, here's a big one, everybody. Vehicle Command Module, introducing the concept of vehicles taking over control from other host ships. I'm actually going to take these off for a minute, everybody. Introducing the concept of vehicles taking over control from other host ships, primarily used for spaceships like the Drake Caterpillar or the Drake Ironclad. This work has been extended to May 29, 2026. Now, remember, I've been pretty vocal in saying that I think, and I hope, and I suspect that the Ironclad is being targeted for release or flight-ready release during Drake DefenseCon. Now, CIG has not said that. They've not confirmed that. If you've heard that out there, that's merely, community speculation, but all signs are pointing to that time period, the ship going flight-ready. It would make for an amazing Drake DefenseCon if the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault are both sitting in that hall. I think we can all agree how cool that would be. The work extending to May 29, 2026 perfectly lines up with the ship releasing it around that time. Again, we'll have to see. Sergeant Perry says there was a dev post last week confirming it for Invictus. That's great. That's awesome. I did not see that, but I'm glad to, if that was true, I'm excited. There was a CIG post. Okay, awesome. That's great. I love when I get surprised on stream like that. I love it. Gives me something to look forward to. I do own both. And remember, we're giving one away. We're giving away an Ironclad during Drake DefenseCon. Okay, May 31st is when that giveaway happens. And that'll be a Drake Ironclad base model with 10 years of insurance. Okay. Eric Class, thank you for subscribing with Prime. I do appreciate it. And thank you for the follows. Gail Goo. Hopefully I said that right. Marky Mark. Thank you for those. Appreciate it. All right, FPS radar and scanning. This is kind of an important one. Introducing improved signature systems supporting much greater distances and dampening of signatures by environmental interference and larger signatures. I've talked about this a lot on stream, where bigger ships can sort of mask the signatures of smaller ships. This is driven by the same signature system as radar and ping, available in ships, ground vehicles, and FPS, extended to May 29th. Again, I'm hoping Invictus, we start seeing some big drops like that. New FPS radar and scanning would be pretty huge. I'm excited about that. That's one that's really been on my mind for quite a while. Instancing. Introducing instancing technology, enabling the creation of more curated gameplay content that is seamlessly integrated into the sandbox. Work extended to July 31st. Great to see that. Again, I do think that's more of a third quarter, fourth quarter sort of thing. I would imagine that is going to be the tactical fleet ops or whatever they're calling them. Hey, VMXEOs in chat. VM, hope you're doing well, buddy. So yeah, instancing. Pretty excited. And then another really cool one, ship hangar landing service, introducing the ability for larger ships to rearm, repair, and restock other ships in their hangar. Starting on November 3rd, it started on November 3rd, 2025, and ending on May 29th, 2026. This is a big one, big in a couple ways. This would allow the Ironclad Assault to actually do some level of ground vehicle repair. It would allow ships like the Polaris and the Idris to do repair, rearm, and refuel services in their hangar bays. That work would extend to future ships down the line, of course, like the Drake Kraken. I think maybe the Liberator supports it, but then even going further out, ships like the Crucible and all that kind of good stuff. So again, exciting to see that work happening. I'm really excited for that. Again, I think a big reason the repair, rearm, refuel stuff is coming is, personally, I think it has to do with instancing and some of those tactical fleet ops. I think CIG wants to give us a way to repair and rearm and refuel within the instanced environment. We can just go do that on an Idris. So I don't know if that's what's happening, but that's what I suspect. Okay. All right. Next, I guess I do need to put my headset back on because we're going to watch some videos. It's time to talk about the Argo Moth. It's time to get to it. Again, I have not watched these videos, so you're going to be watching it the same time I'm watching it. Okay. VM, if you want to jump in the waiting room, you're welcome to, buddy. Or if you just want to watch the show as a fan, please do. But if you want to let your voice be heard, you're welcome to. I'm going to be jumping into game here. Once we get through some of this Argo Moth stuff, everyone, I'm going to jump in game. We'll check out the Moth in the hangar and all that kind of good stuff. VM, no worries, buddy. And real quick, everyone, since VM is here, I'll go ahead and let everybody know. Hermes and Moth, they're being worked on. We're getting there. As you all know, that work takes time. Got to kind of go through it, reassemble them, get them all built, rendered, looking pretty, conformed, all that good stuff. So they're in progress. Please be patient, but it is in progress. VM's the one who deals with the ship stuff pretty much now. So give VM a big 07. Give him a big giant 07. If you love Fleet Viewer. Without VM and Starlight, there would be no Fleet Viewer. So give him a big 07. I greatly appreciate it. He does a lot of hard work. GearCon used 40 bits for an on-screen celebration. Gear, thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate you. Cheers. All right, everybody, let's jump into it. We're going to watch the Argo Moth trailer. Here we go. Argo makes pretty
Salvage.
ships.
It's work. Solid and honest. And built on instinct. It's believing that a simple bit of scrap could be a piece of something bigger. And here at Argo, we're born believers.
Grab your hands.
In time spent searching, a crew worth standing by, and a ship that always earns its
That's
keep.
a cool transition.
It's just how we're built, I guess. Introducing the multi-operator targeted harvester. Argo. Building your future.
You know, first off, another incredible trailer. Damn, CIG Cinematics team, they are on it. Damn, there's some really cool transitions. Did you see those seamless transitions throughout? I love that. CIG's been nailing the transitions too. I don't know if you remember the RSI Polaris cinematic, but they had some really cool cut transitions in that one that I love. I still watch that trailer today. And love the transition moments. I really do. I love the look of this ship. How many of you all feel, yeah, VM likes the transitions too. How many do you all feel that the Moth is a better use of that ship hull arrangement than the Mole is? Personally, I feel like the Moth is really the better usage of it, because if you're salvaging, you're much more likely, I think, to be salvaging a large ship and be wanting to hit multiple turrets on one ship, targeting the same big chunk of ship, versus the Mole, which I think, I remember it being sold a little bit where you're like targeting different rock nodes around the ship. There was, obviously you could target the same large rock if you want, but it just always felt a little awkward in the times I have been on Argo Mole, which has not been very often. It always felt a little awkward, but for me, the implementation of salvaging with that ship hull kind of arrangement makes a lot more sense. Now, I haven't tried the ship in the verse, so I'm speculating wildly on that, but it feels like, to me, it's a better usage of that. Real My Name, thank you very much for the hydrate. I appreciate you. So that's our trailer. It's time to watch the Behind the Ships episode. Those of you know that I probably will be pausing this some to do some react. Then we'll do the sale page and the Q&A and all that kind of good stuff. Then we'll check it out in game. Okay. Before we watch this, there was part of me that was hoping that the medium, I guess, are we calling this a medium salvager? I consider it kind of, I guess it's a medium large salvager. I was really hoping it would be Drake. Many of you will know that I love the industrial Drake ships, like the Vulture and the Ironclad, which I consider an industrial ship. I was hoping we were going to get an industrial Drake ship with the new salvager, but my second choice was definitely Argo. I do love Argo ships. I think they're designed really, really nicely. I love the art aesthetic with it. I've really struggled to find an Argo ship that I use on the daily, though. The Argo Raft being really the first one that I felt like I could use in missions. The SRV didn't quite work out like I was thinking it was, and the Mole is something I never really got behind. I'm not big on the MPUVs. Obviously, they have specific roles. But I do feel like the Moth may be the first one that really is that perfect fit for me. I love salvage. I love Argo. So hopefully this, like I said, this is a good fit. So let's go ahead and watch the Behind the Ships, and we'll pause where we need to pause. I'll try not to pause too much, but, you know, I'll give you my reactions. Here we go.
The Argo Moth is the long-awaited, much-requested medium salvager for Star Citizen.
First off, it shows him salvaging a Corsair. That's just wrong. We know that would never happen.
It's supposed to fill the gaps between our small single-siege salvage ships, such as the Vulture and the Salvation, and the massive Aegis Reclaimer.
Small salvage ships, they produce rubble. The large one, like the Reclaimer, they produce construction material salvage. And the medium ship, we create construction material pieces. The refining time for the rubble is the fastest. For the pieces, it's like in the medium part, whereas for the salvage, it's like the longest refining times it will take. For crafting, the difference between the three different construction material raw versions of it will be that basically retaining the quality of the material.
Thanks for the subscribe, DNO. Appreciate you.
With the Moth, we wanted to take our medium operator-sized ships that we have already. We have them all.
So real quick there, we get a little bit of Thorsten talking about the refining process again. I've noticed CIG has brought this up in the past with different ships as well. Again, someone just asked this question last stream, but I do hope we get ship-based refining this year, hopefully starting with something like the Misk Expanse, but we'll have to see what CIG does with that. GearCon, thank you for those 100 biddies, buddy. I appreciate you. GearCon says, I really like the fact that we saw a large cargo container come out from where the salvage materials came out from, not just tiny containers. I agree, GearCon, and thank you for those biddies.
Great ship. And pivot that system over into salvage.
Sometimes you don't need to reinvent the wheel, and we thought that building on top of the Mole to make the Moth made perfect sense. The Mole is successful as a mining ship, particularly multi-crew-wise, due to the fact that it has all those turrets that can cover pretty much the
Sam, I'll
entire
come back to your question in just a bit, bud.
under the ship as well as around it. It's not completely full coverage, but it's pretty good. And the turrets have freedom of movement to really mine anywhere. And that really lends itself to salvage as well, which shares a lot of that sort of similar mechanics.
I think the Mole is a very successful ship in what it's built for. So getting the opportunity to revisit it with the lessons we've learned and put some new life into it with a slightly different role and slightly different purpose was really exciting.
And this allows us to iterate more easily on our current ships that are going out. But it also means that we can take some of those improvements and changes back to those original ships later down the line.
You know, it's funny. I actually think the salvage arms that extend out, I actually think they help the look of the ship a lot. I always thought it was kind of weird with the mole and its little mining heads poking out, but those big, thick industrial salvage arms kind of pronging out from the front. I don't know. I do think it sort of almost helps the silhouette a little bit. And by the way, everyone, the question bot is running, so feel free to ask your questions. Just put question in there somewhere, and the bot will pick it up, and I'm going to circle back and answer questions when we're checking the ship out in-game.
We've tried to make changes where they were needed, but not make changes for change's sake. But the kind of like the standout thing, if I'm honest, it's the arms.
What's your favorite aspect of the Moth?
Yeah, my favorite aspect is the new grinders.
The giant munching arms that it's got on the front. They look great.
They just feel kind of super chunky, super industrial, super dangerous.
My favourite aspect of the ship is the grabby hands.
I like when
They
Ben
look
says
really
super.
cool, give it a nice quirk to the shape.
Probably the grabby hands.
Everybody says grabby hands. Why?
It is such a key part of the ship's visuals because they're very big, very industrial. There's lots of weight behind them, but at the same time, there's also really intricate little details.
I was trying to make
They
them
do
a
look
bit
really great.
intimidating, like a bit dangerous, like you really would want your hands to be caught in anything. It was also very fun to work on the animations to kind of figure out how in the different states the arms would kind of retract, the claws would open up, big hydraulic pistons kind of retracting, moving around. And yeah, of course, the crushers spinning.
Are you aware that nearly a decade ago we had another system called grabby hands that has nothing to do with this?
No, I was not aware. What was that?
Discolando remembers.
It takes a crew of 4, so far fewer than you need for the Reclaimer, but
Or what's our crew count on the Reclaimer? I forget. I've operated the Reclaimer with 4 people in the past, and we operated it really smoothly. Now, to be totally fair, that was before engineering was in the game and stuff like that. But I did operate the Reclaimer with a crew of 4. It went very well. I think it was me, VMXEO, STARJUMP Ender, and someone else. But it went pretty smooth. But I'm seeing in chat 6, 5, minimum 3, 5 to 6, something like that. Yeah, so slightly less than the Reclaimer. It is interesting though, with a jump of like 1 to 2 crew members, you're going from the Moth all the way to the Reclaimer, right? That's a pretty big jump for the addition of 1 to 2 crewmen. However, I guess with the Reclaimer, you may need to factor in some other things in the future, like just the slowness of getting the ship around, and all that kind of stuff. So while, yes, you can carry a lot more SCU of salvage material, it's a lot slower ship to do back and forths with. So, yeah, I guess it balances out. It's interesting, though, when you think about it, how that gradation goes with ships up the chain of a particular gameplay loop. God, I really hope the Reclaimer gets some love soon. I love the Reclaimer. I'm very, very close to melting it. It needs a lot of work. I know John Cruz said it needs more of a thorough redo inside, but I really hope they do it soon. The ship is very useful to the game now, and really kind of deserves to get that attention. So let's keep going.
actually gives you some multiplayer gameplay as opposed to the Vulture. All 4 of those players will be able to take part in the salvage gameplay loop. We have 3 manned turrets, each with a size 2 salvage head.
Thank you for the follows.
And the pilot gets access to the main structural salvage crusher.
Can this ship be operated solo?
Yeah, like all our ships, it can be operated solo. But if you operate a ship solo of a certain size, you get some downsides to it.
It would just be a lot of dancing around between the different seats. But at the same time, you're also going to be saving some time because you're going to be able to carry a lot more. So you're going to have less trips back and forth.
What kind of defensive capabilities does this thing got?
Very minimal defensive capabilities. This is first and foremost an industrial ship.
I'm okay with
The
that.
pilot has 2 S2 slots available to them. The co-pilot gets access to a bespoke small missile rack with 16 S2 missiles.
That's cool. Decent
Belly
amount.
of the ship has
You know,
changed quite a lot.
here's my thought though with specific industrial focused ships. Okay. I'm okay with them not being well armed. Matter of fact, I'm okay with them not having any armament at all. However, when I think of industrial ships, I correlate that with industrial vehicles, right? Big bulldozers, big, dump trucks and all that kind of stuff. I think of like big, heavy equipment, doing industrial work. So I actually, in the future, I hope that there is a modifier that industrial ships get, or maybe industrial ships get some sort of, I would say, significant buff to armor, because industrial ships are built, or industrial vehicles in our world, in the real world, are built tough. They're built tough because they're doing industrial work, right? And what I mean by that, have you ever seen that video of the guy who got mad at his town? I forget the scenario, and he built that tank out of a bulldozer, and it ended up leveling half the town. You remember that? For those of you in America, you may remember that story. Bulldozers are extremely tough. They're damn near a tank, right? Killdozer, yes. It's damn near a tank. So personally, I want industrial ships. I'm okay with them not being heavily armed, but I want them to be extremely tough. I want them to be able to pretty much take an ass whooping. You know what I mean? Maybe even in some ways be as tough as military ships from the armor shield standpoint. Whether that's through armor or a shield modifier buff or whatever that is. I do think industrial ships need that. I think it's actually critical.
We've now got this large split cargo grid that is in a vertical orientation. So when the salvage material is rejected out, it flows straight onto this large cargo grid that kind of takes up the majority of the belly of the ship.
One of the improvements over the Mole chassis is the fact that the cargo grids are just normal cargo grids. Whilst the salvage output does automatically eject onto them, and it does use standardized 8 SU crates, there's nothing to stop you putting any other cargo compatible item on those cargo grids.
That's awesome. That's really cool. I love that this can carry regular cargo. By the way, I see some people hit an exclamation ticket. If you want to get in on the Argo Moth giveaway, please go to this Gleam link. I'm doing it through Gleam. It's just easier to track that way for both YouTube and Twitch. Go to the Gleam link. It is pinned to the top of chat as well. Go to that and you'll be able to enter. I'm giving them Argo Moth with the Star Citizen game package, LTI, and the Love Struck paint. I'm giving that all the way this coming Sunday on this coming Sunday's stream, okay?
Which allows you to then perhaps do a bit of cargo. Maybe you find some salvage on the way that you want to do. It doesn't limit you to doing one or the other.
I love that it can carry the cargo, though. That's awesome.
The rear of the ship has a really nice cargo lift for 2 16 SCU containers. So you can get a bit of hauling gameplay in there as well.
And just in front of that is the old personnel lift. Both take you up into the newly, sort of slightly reimagined cargo area. From there to the left and right, you've got the entrances to the side salvage turrets, and then a ladder that leads you up onto the main deck.
One of the things we realised as we were working on the ship was to be able to get out some of the components out of the ship.
Okay, so I was hoping they would change that. I'm going to go back for a little bit.
To be able to get out some of the...
Let me go back a little bit. Let me pause there. So this is one thing I was hoping they would change for the Moth. This silver kind of corrugated stuff here. This stuff is very common in America as like tin roofs and stuff like that, but it's kind of like a very thin metal that's I've always associated it with like rickety sheds and stuff. So I don't love this color. It totally reminds me of like a rundown shed in someone's backyard with a lawnmower in it. I was hoping they were going to make this orange or black. Tin roof. Yes. Thank you, Blam Smith. So I was actually hoping they were going to change that. Looks like they didn't, but either way, just a minor thing.
One of the things we realised as we were working on the ship was to be able to get out some of the components out of the ship, we needed to widen the doors and widen the ladder down to the lower floor. And this gives a nice route through the ship to be able to get those
It's a cool interior.
ship items out.
To the rear of the ship from there are the beds and the bathroom and a couple of suit lockers. And then forwards from habitation is into the processing room.
We basically took the pre-existed engineering room from the mall and converted to a processing room.
Feels very hot, very industrial, and a little claustrophobic.
Okay, so it's
you
a
have an
processing
engineering
room.
screen in the middle. Some of the components have been sort of reshuffled around to make space for a big refinery, which is on board.
Forwards further still is the bridge, which has the pilot and co-pilot seats.
As we're kind of revisiting the cockpit, we've updated it a little bit, so we've brought in a few new interactions, kind of modernised
Yeah, it
the
looks
view
good.
a little bit.
It looks really good.
Things like the dashboard improvements, the interactive panels that we placed around the ship, those sort of things will kind of be retrofitted back onto the mole as well.
Yeah, does have a
Like the
bit of
Asgard
refinery.
Hermes, the Moth is a new hull based on an existing chassis, and that means it doesn't share paints with the Mole.
But we are making some really nice new paints for the Moth. So we're going to have a lot
I do
of
love the
two-tone
paints.
paints coming in. So you'll see that we have decided to spice them up a bit.
So we're excited now that we have the full set of salvage ship sizes. We have you starting with the Salvation, moving to the Vulture and Fortune. Now we have the Moth, and then ultimately you end up with the Reclaimer.
It was very fun to work on, very nice to work on something industrial.
Just the little changes to the flow that we've had to make, opening up some areas just to allow a little bit of a smoother kind of gameplay.
I like the changes they made.
Really nice.
I do like it.
This is for the person who enjoys salvage gameplay but wants something bigger.
So that was actually a really good behind the ships. That one was a meaty one at 8 minutes. Last year we got a couple that were only like 3 minutes long. So I am happy that CIG did a pretty meaty behind the ships. I do want to address something I am seeing in chat here. El Ramel, sorry, cheered 1 bit. Appreciate that. How much AUEC does the Reclaimer right now, and how much do you think the Moth make? Actually, I need to look up the Reclaimer. I forget its stats. But let me address what I'm seeing in chat about the paints, because I don't disagree with you. It's frustrating that the paints don't carry over. But just from a 3D perspective, many of you know, I do a lot of 3D. I work in the film and television industry doing 3D and visual effects. And I can go ahead and tell you that CIG isn't just bullshitting us here. The structural changes to the exterior of the Moth means that it does have to be a texture. Now, it's not to say they couldn't make the mold textures work for this ship, but it means that they probably would still have to go back to the mold textures and make some changes so that it would carry over. It's not just a drops right on sort of thing. Anytime you are UV mapping a mesh, if part of that mesh changes, your textures will not wrap correctly anymore. It's just is what it is. Again, it's not to say that they couldn't make them work, but that means they would have to go into those textures and do some changes. They opted not to do that. That's what they did. You can still hate it. That's totally fine. I'm just sort of backing it up that it depends on the ship and it depends on how the mesh is changed and if the changes in the mesh affected, how the skins wrap onto the ship. It's as simple as that. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure CIG would be honestly totally fine if the skins worked because they just sell probably more skins, but it doesn't. At least they are releasing these ships now with a bunch of paints, which is pretty cool. I know the ship has these sort of big arms up front, again, which I think help a lot in the overall silhouette. I'm not sure what other changes occurred. Obviously changes there in the middle with the cargo area, but, you know, still something to consider. Okay. Thank you for that follow. Ruby Cloud, again, there was some follows, everyone. I do appreciate it. Das Frisch Tost, Panther Knox, Buckshot Briggs, I do appreciate you. Empress Rivals. Our classed. Let's go ahead and go through the Q&A here. And then we'll hit the sell page here. It says, as the medium salvage ship, how do you envision players utilizing the Moth in their salvage career path between salvage ships like the Drake Vulture and larger Reclaimer? They just kind of just said this. It fits right in that progression path, you know, where you're leaving the solo ships and you're now moving on to the multi-crew ships, right? As the Moth stands for multi-operator targeted harvester, what is the ideal crew size to operate? I can't talk tonight, y'all. Y'all know me. And what is ideal crew size here? It says, like most ships, the Moth can be operated solo with its seat assignments. It says here, though, that to get the fullest experience, we recommend at least one pilot and one crew member up to the ship's maximum of 4 crew members. Makes sense. They kind of said that. What are the key advantages of the Moth that set apart as a medium salvage ship? 3 independent hull-scraping turrets and pilot-controlled structural salvage arms allow the crew to tackle a variety of targets in parallel rather than sequentially. This provides the benefit of multiple players working together without the need for several. So let me go ahead and give my one criticism of the ship. Based off the crew size for the Reclaimer, I think it would have been better if the Moth targeted 3 players and not 4 players for crew. And here's why I'm thinking that. I think that, so it's got the 3 salvaging heads. I think one of those salvaging heads should have been usable by the pilot, and the other 2 were remote or done by other crew members. But the pilot could switch between the salvage arm back to the disintegrator munching thing. What do they call it? Disintegrator. I think that may have been better, because I feel like going from solo to 3-person and then to 6-person for the Reclaimer feels better. Christopher strongly disagrees. Convince me, Christopher. Put it in chat. Convince me. I can be convinced. Lil Louvre just followed. Thank you very much. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 4 is... Maybe 4 is right. I don't know. I got to think about that a little bit. Just that's something that kind of popped in my mind right away. It was like maybe it would have been better served by a targeted crew capacity of 3. But yeah, I don't know. I could be wrong. Convince me. Let's see here. What's the Moth's total SCU capacity, including the buffers? The official capacity is 224 SCU, quite a bit, more than I thought it was going to get. The 2 external autoloader cargo grids each hold 96 SCU. That's pretty damn good. And the rear cargo lift holds 32. However, each autoloader has a buffer of 32 SCU, giving maximum theoretical capacity of 288 total SCU of carryable cargo. Or capacity, I guess I should say. The team is aware of the buffer size issue. The intent is for it to have 32 SCU per side for 64 total. The team is looking into it and how to address that. Okay, so that's something they're gonna get back to. Okay, they're gonna get back to that. Moth has similar flight characteristics to the Mole. No surprise there. The salvage heads are compatible with all existing sub items, including those used by other salvage ships. No surprise there. What ship sizes can the Moth structurally salvage? I just said suctually salvage. I guess either one works. And what types of construction materials will it produce? It says the Moth is capable of salvaging ships the size of the Origin 600i or mixed Starfarer, so pretty damn big. In doing so, it produces construction material pieces, the Moth being the first ship to create the pieces type of raw material. Pretty cool. And then they got a link to the salvage gameplay guide. I'm actually going to take a look at that later because I do want to review that again. It's been a while. Continuing on. Which roles? We know what roles people can do. The Moth features 2 size 2 pilot weapons and a remote missile turret. How does the Moth fare in combat? Well, it's an industrial ship. How do you think it fares? These are weird questions. Christopher says, Mole already is set up for 4 players, and it would be silly to go out of the way and try to make the fully crew to be less. Was the 4th bed for the table? Even I still strongly believe this game will survive and thrive based off shared in-ship experiences. The 3-person salvager would be welcome, but the Mole chassis is not for it. Yeah, that's a solid argument. I think switching to 3 would have definitely brought up questions. I think you're right. Would have brought up questions on the Mole, and do those changes need to filter into the Mole? Right. So yeah, that's totally fair. Says here, is the Moth a variant of the Mole and therefore usable paints? They already told us that. Okay. Let's go to the sale page here. And by the way, I am going to get to questions, everybody. Here is the sale page. We watched the trailer. Again, really cool. I love what these arms do to the silhouette of the ship. I actually think it helps the silhouette out quite a bit. I'm going to take off my headset now real quick. Yeah, I like the look of these, though. Talking about new class of engineering or a new class of salvage ship. Again, first ship dealing with those pieces, those salvage pieces, which is nice. I need to do a show soon all about salvage. I do a lot of salvage gameplay, and I want to do a deep dive into salvage and maybe the future of salvage. But that's for another show. Let's go ahead and go down. I always like to look at the stats and the paints. Ship is 45 meters long. Cargo 224 SCU. Width is 25.75 meters long. I'm talking about height of 15 meters. You can see all the weapons mounts here. Factory standard is the Argo orange with teal highlights. We have the sundial paint, which not my favorite, metallic orange and black. We have the tide pool paint, which is blue with green highlights. I really love this one. I picked this one up. The Rockwell paint, which is all gray. I do kind of dig that one. That might get added to my hanger. We'll have to see. Juniper, which is green with orange highlights, exclusive to Warbond pledges. Very cool. I did not get the ship Warbond. I did a CCU from the Gladius into this ship. So I did not get that, but it's not my favorite paint job anyway. And then Dolomite, really cool actually. This is white with orange highlights, exclusive to members of the Chairman's Club. And then obviously there is the Coramore paint for it. I mentioned before, if you like that paint, that is one you can get for the ship. Going down to the sale page, ship is $290. Warbond, if you're getting the Chairman's Club package, which comes with the Warbond paint, the factory paint, and the Dolomite concierge paint. You can get the same thing, but the duo pack, which is the Mole and Moth. I kind of figured we were going to be getting that. And then you can get the Moth Warbond with the non-Chairman's Club that comes with that, and the, what was it called again? The Juniper paint, the green one. And then the dual pack there for that one as well. So the concierge and non-concierge version. For credit, ship comes in at $315. What's the Mole? What's the credit cost of the Moles? Anyone know offhand? Does anyone know what the credit price of the Argo Mole is? So the same, $315? Okay. I originally thought this ship was going to be slightly cheaper. And there's a long reason why I believe that, but I'll say this now. Being that this ship can carry so much just standard cargo, thank you for the follow, NetBean. Being that this ship can just carry so much standard cargo, it really ups the value for me. So the fact that it's sitting at $315, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Obviously, the paints, you can buy all the paints like they normally do. There's a bunch of options on how to get those paints, including the time limited and the concierge paints, all that. Actually, was there a time limited paint? Was that the Rockwell? Which one's the, usually they have the time limited, right? Juniper's for Warbond, which I guess is time limited. And the Dolomite is concierge. Okay, not a time-limited paint. I guess you could say that was the juniper paint is the time-limited one. Obviously, you can. They have a CCU path forward as well. By the way, I love the two-tone paint. I do hope that the mole gets some of that if it doesn't have it already. Yep. Okay. I'm actually going to attempt to get Star Citizen going here, and I'll switch over. We'll check it out in game. Give me just a second while that's loading. Again, everyone, if you're here for the giveaway, we're going to give away an Argo Moth with the Lovestruck paint, a game package, and LTI. We're going to be giving that away on Sunday, this coming Sunday, so about 4 days-ish from now. You can go to the Gleam link pinned to the top of the chat, or go to the one, oops, not that, actually, that's the wrong link. You can go to this link. You can go to that link and enter to win. Get in on that if you can. I am going to get to some questions here momentarily. Thanks, everybody, for hanging on for a minute. Let me get to my questions. Bear with me, bear with me. I got to switch over to the game. Where's the game? There it is. Oh, nope, that's not me. I forgot I had cropped the screen the other day. We don't want that. We want to see the full screen here of the game. There we go. All right. We'll just join. We'll join a friend here. Who are we going to join? We'll join Beg. Saw Beg in there earlier. I'm just going to join a server at this point. And we're going to check this out. I can't get to my questions yet, but I am going to circle back around to them. Okay, I'm going to circle back around to those. Chewed Gumball says, I hope the mole gets improved. Its 96 SCU looks stupidly anemic compared to the Moths. So I agree. I mean, when we were originally talking about this ship not too long ago, I 100% thought that, I 100% thought that that's what the SCU capacity of this ship was going to be. All right, here we're loading in. We'll call it the Moth. We'll check it out. I have a feeling our good buddy Execute is not particularly happy with the name. I think he wanted it to be called the Crab. How do you all feel about the Moth name? Multi-operator targeted harvester. How does everyone feel about that? Game's taking a little bit to load in here. Devil Dog says stupid name. Bunker Fist says it works. When Blisimo says trying too hard. Some people say I don't care. You know, I guess I'm indifferent. I will say the Moth feels a little small and delicate of a name for such a big and hardy ship, so maybe a little weird. Yeah, I think I'm split on it. Some people are saying it should have been called the Swole. We all know that's for the Ironclad. It's taking a little while to load into the game. Hopefully we can get in. Hopefully we can get in. If we can't, we'll try a different, we'll try joining on someone different. See how it goes. Bunker Fist says, maybe it's an Australian moth. I bet those have fangs and weigh 50 pounds. Possible, possible. A lot of suggestions in chat. Swole, smole, grub, crab. See, Daddy, let's copy those names down. Send them to the ship teams. Never know. A future ship might be perfect for that name. Never know. I will say Crab does seem like the perfect Drake ship name. Just thinking of like, I know they name a lot of the ships after like, old ships, like pirate age ships and or sea creatures, and the Kraken. I can see a crab DMXEO says, let's save the crab for the 2-seater salvager. I agree. We're still loading. We're still loading into the game, everybody. We'll have to see. CT says, when do I think the Arastra will arrive? I don't know. That's a hard one. Part of me wonders if CIG might pick it up after the Galaxy. There's part of me that wonders why the Galaxy was prioritized over the Arastra. They're both around the same size. One of them, obviously, a modular ship. The other one, a very focused industrial ship. If you would have asked me a year ago what would come next, part of me would have said the Arastra. Just from a, would it make sense thing. Now, CIG never talked about the Arastra being on deck or anything, so I was always kind of one of those people that was saying, no, it's not coming anytime soon. I think they're going to take a break. But from just a does it make sense standpoint, I do feel like I do think the Arastra makes sense to go into production. Let's see here. Is this working? May have to Control-Delete for a minute here if it's not working. Let's see here. Let me go to the questions. While this is loading, we're going to go to the questions for a minute. We'll see if we load in here. But while we're waiting on that, we can go to the questions. Let's do that. Okay. Question. So I got to move some windows around here. Bear with me, everybody. Okay. All right, we're going to get to some questions. Here we go. Essential Asa says, do you think once Maelstrom is in, we'll be able to break large ships into smaller pieces so smaller salvagers can fracture and disintegrate those pieces? That's a great Maelstrom question. I don't know. That makes sense. That's how I would think it would work once we have Maelstrom. Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that one. That's a good question. I assume that it would, though. I would assume that you would be able to attack those pieces with smaller ships. Okay. By the way, I'm going to have to restart Star Citizen, which I'll do here now. Okay. Next question. Shepard is Commander Grimm. What do you think is coming out next? Hull B, Stingray, or an unknown ship? Well, I think we had, where was it? I had I'm going to bring this over here. Looking at our chart, Hull B was in Lot 0. I think our last update. I think we could see the Misk Hull B soon. I think the Misk Hull B could be the next ship we see. That's a good question, actually. I'm thinking about that. Because it doesn't make sense for it to be an Invictus thing. Damn, yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I am going to say... I'm going to say the Misk Hull B because it is on deck. We're at Lot 0 with it. It does make sense. I'm going to say the Misk Hull B. And I am excited for the Hull B. And I wasn't for a long time. I wasn't for a long time. So I am pretty excited about it. Let me go back to questions here. Ruger Blood Moon says, do you think the command module tech will also be used for the Endeavor? Well, if the Endeavor's functionality stays the same, then it would have to, yeah. And for the person who asks Stingray question mark, the Stingray is the next Kruger ship. CIG talked about there's another Kruger ship coming called the Stingray. Badass name, by the way. So yeah. Let's see here. So yeah, I think the command module tech will be needed for the Endeavor for sure. Let's see here. Let me go back to our Moth visual here. Questy83 says, with new, small, and medium salvage ships now in game, any thoughts on what and when the Reclaimer rework will be? No real news on that. But honestly, I do hope the Reclaimer gets prioritized at some point. I imagine CIG would have to sort of circle back to Aegis stuff. Again, look, there's 2 Aegis ships I really want to see progress on. Actually, 3. The Javelin for sure, which I do think work has been happening on. The Nautilus is a ship that I would really love to go into production. I'm not the biggest combat person in Star Citizen, but man, do I want to drop some mines. And then 2, the Reclaimer. So, when CIG circles back to Aegis, maybe that's the time when they'll pick back up the Reclaimer, because the Reclaimer, unlike the rework of the 600i, the Reclaimer, I think, really does need the rework sooner rather than later, because it is a useful ship now, and there are problems operating with the Reclaimer. I still fall out of the ship in Quantum all the time. So it still has a host of issues. Next question. Says here, Zeta Udan says, does the Moth spit out 1 SCU crates, or can it spit out SCU cubes? I think it can do 8 SCU cubes from what we saw. At least it looked that way. Chat, maybe you can add detail to that. Keep it secret says 8. Next question, Sam Lowry says, question, the only thing holding me back from purchasing the Moth is my experience trying to sell RMC. Do you have any advice on reducing the frustration with not being able to sell Grim? So that's a great question, Sam. And this is why I want to go back and do a salvage show soon. I don't have any good tips. It's been a while since I've salvaged. I am going to start getting back into it. I've actually started recording a video. I haven't recorded the gameplay yet, but I've started putting together the script and stuff for a video that's going to be based off professions in Star Citizen, and salvage is the first one I'm tackling. So I'm going to get all back into it, get myself re-educated, and hopefully I can give better advice on that, Sam, but that's a great question. Dillman says, do you think the Moth is a better raft at 224 SCU of cargo capacity? I don't know if it's a better raft. It's going to be a much bigger ship that you're trying to land on a pad and deal with cargo, but that cargo capacity definitely makes you reconsider this ship as purely an industrial salvage ship. And I think that's a feather in its cap. It's definitely something that's attracted me to the ship, right? Christopher Ether says, tonight's winning lotto numbers, I'm tired of being poor. I don't have the answer to that. I'm sorry. I wish I did. If I did have them, I don't know if I'd share them with you. I'm not sure about that. I may want it all for myself. Don't know. It's a good question, though. Project Gnome says, question, do you think they'll release the Reclaimer rework in the Vulcan next year? Not the Vulcan. I don't think that's coming next year. Well, do you mean next year is in 2027? Or next year is in the year we're in now? Reclaimer could come in 2027. The Vulcan, I don't know, though. We haven't had an update that in quite a long time. Everyone, StarJump Starlet is in chat. Make sure you give Starlet and VMXEO some giant 07s. Those are the other 2 members of the Fleet Viewer team, along with myself. Starlet's doing work in Fleet Viewer version 2 right now. VMXEO is doing new ships for Fleet Viewer. Both of them working very, very hard, making it a better experience. And it's exciting. It's exciting. Good team members. Good team members. Couldn't do it without them. Let's see here. Essential Asa. I keep saying Essential USA. Essential Asa says, do you think the Reclaimer will get a Mark II? No, I don't think it'll get a Mark II. I think it'll just get reworked. Das Besser Retoast. God, that's a hard one. Hopefully I got that right, buddy. There was an Argo pickup truck visible in the trailer, in the ship trailer, with 8 SCU instead of 4 SCU container. Will they finally change the SCU limit, or was that an accident? Was that the Argo CSV? SM? The little cargo truck? I didn't see that. I'll have to check that out. Maybe it's getting revised. I mean, CIG has made, has gone back and changed a lot of ships recently to be able to carry more SCU by just adjusting some things. They just recently did it with the Ironclads. We know the Reclaimer got an adjustment to cargo, but the Ironclad got some stuff adjusted. What was it? The Valkyrie got adjusted not terribly long ago, right? So yeah, absolutely. Oh, by the way, Star Citizen wasn't starting because it looks like I had an update. So I'm updating that now, and we'll jump in game. Quezzy83 says, guess that kind of answers my earlier question. Okay, hopefully it did. Let's see here. Some of the bots picking up some duplicates. This one's from JC Lift. Question, do you think CIG will eventually make a medium Drake salvage ship like the Moth? I like the Moth, but I already own a Mole and really don't want two similar ships. Possible. I mean, CIG has shown us that they will make two ships in sort of the same role, but focus on how to deal with that role differently. We got a little bit of that with the Fortune and the Vulture. So it's possible. I don't think we're going to see it anytime soon, but it's possible. I think they'll eventually get back to it. I hope CIG's, or hopefully, personally, I hope Drake's industrial line gets filled out even more than it is. Obviously, I'm a big Drake fan. So. MB Wheeler says, nope, that's not a question. Naughty Beaver says, do you have any intention or have you ever considered adding the different SCU containers into Fleet Viewer? Do we have any intention? Maybe. Have we ever considered it? Yes, we have considered it. I know VMXEO, who's in chat, brought that or something similar up in our private developer channel about it one time. We had a whole discussion on ways to visualize cargo. Ultimately, we landed on just showing the metric for it, whatever the SCU capacity is. But there was a discussion one time at showing that visually in some sort of way. We never circled back around to that. Again, there's a lot of things we're trying to tackle with Fleet Viewer, and with Fleet Viewer 2.0, by the way, it does an incredible amount of new shit. So for those of you that have not tried that out, I think you're going to be very, very happy. Let's see here. Okay, I'm going to try to I'm in the queue to join the game. I think it'll work this time. Let's see here. Next question. Good though. We're tacking off some questions here as we wait to get in the game. Question from Mr. 6952. Question: now that the Moth can carry more cargo than the Raft, why grab a Raft? That's a good question. I do think the Raft, from a size standpoint, though, is still valuable. Not every ship has to be big and carry a lot, but to each his own. VG says best crew count dual box. That's a good one. You have to ask a dual boxing expert on that. That is not me. Admiral Kusanagi, our good buddy, says, why are they answering questions that a kindergarten student would ask? This is from the Q&A. Yeah. There's some simple questions in there. Sometimes those questions are funny. Okay, we're going to pause on questions real quick. We're going to swing over to the game. We are going to check out, stand by everyone, just closing something, bear with me. We're going to check out the Moth real quick here. Let's go ahead and call the ship up.
To the ASOP vehicle retrieval system.
All right. Let's deliver it. If you're wondering why I have two in there, it's because I bought one or CCU'd to one with credit, and CIG gave me one to give away to you all. So, all right, let's bring it up. We're going to bring it up in the factory paint. I think that's a good way to look at it. Look at me all decked out, everybody. I got the pyrotechnic amalgamated armor on. I do dig this armor. It looks pretty sweet. Wait for the ship to come up, and then we will check it out. Run around to this side. Here's one thing I do like about the Moth. If you're one of those people considering the Moth or the Reclaimer, Reclaimer carries a hell of a lot more. You can make more money in a single run on the Reclaimer, obviously. But sometimes when I start thinking about ships, I do start considering pluses, advantages and disadvantages to them that maybe some don't think about. For me, in my industrial fleet future, you know, the Kraken is going to be my industrial flagship. It's going to be essentially a way station platform for my industrial ships to offload stuff, transfer it to cargo ships, all that kind of stuff. And one thing I do like about the Moth is it will be able to land on the deck of the Kraken, just like the Mole can. So I think that's a weird kind of edge case advantage to the Moth over something like the Reclaimer. All right, let's check it out. Do love the two-tone paint. Do love the two-tone paint. I also love that CIG's putting more work and effort into the ship logos now. Just a personal thing. I'm in marketing and stuff too, and I do like that CIG is doing that. You can see the cargo grid there in the middle. There's the big arms up front. I really like the way they change the silhouette of the ship. That's really nice. There we go. Let's venture under here. Obviously, we have our other salvage arm cabs right there. They animate out. Fully enclosed. You can access them through the ship. This is one side of our cargo lift. And then another one on the other side with an elevator back here. And a cargo elevator back here. Here's our control panel for that. Do love that. That's really cool. Does the Mole have the back cargo lift? God, it's been so long since I've been on a Mole. Let me know. We're going to go up the personnel. It does not. Okay, people are saying it does not. Let's go ahead and close that. I'm going to go up the standard lift here. Okay, just takes us up to the one floor. Okay, there is our cargo room. Pretty moody. I dig it. I like the lighting a lot. The auto printer looks like it can do ASCU from what Chad is saying. Right off the lift here we have a fire extinguisher, nice to see right by the cargo, that's great. Some fuses. And what is this? This is goes out to our other cabs, right? Yep, those are our salvage cabs. Suit locker, that's nice to see. I like that a lot. On the other side, we have the same thing. This one going to the starboard cab right there. And the ladder, which accesses the rest of the ship. All right, when you come up, you got a door here. And is this a door? No, just one door. There is the inside of the ship. I do like the inside, though. I think it looks really, really nice. Very aggressive interior. Weapon locker. Another fire extinguisher. Good fire extinguishers placement so far. I like the galley a lot. I do hope we get some workable, usable stuff in the galley at some point. I really hope CIG does that. Such a great opportunity. This takes us back into habitation, suit lockers on either side. And then the habitation beds. I have a feeling these double up as the escape pods. Most of the beds that are in set like this do double up as the escape pods. And then this is probably the crapper. Lipstick Patty, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. And then obviously the shower and and all that kind of good stuff. All right, here we go. This is, are these components? Components on both sides. Let's go ahead and open that up. All right, so on this side, what is this one? Do they have labeling for that? It's kind of a missed opportunity. I think they should have labeling. Was that on the door at all? Hopefully, no. Okay, that's a little bit of a missed opportunity. I would like on these doors that they have what the components are. I think that would be nice. Okay, here's our filler station with the ability to craft, obviously. Kind of the usual stuff there. And then where is that output? I don't know. Okay, and this is another one, so you have two of those. Oh, component name might be on the button. You might be right. No. Nope, unfortunately not. Yeah, I do think that's a little bit of a missed opportunity. Beardy, thanks for the follow. I do, yeah, I don't see no name. Bottom of the shutter? It just says manual. Pressure seal and revert. Yeah, it doesn't actually have the component name. Just a small thing. I'd like them to add that. Just a small labeling thing. This one too, again, no decaling on what components are behind there. I think that would be a good addition. Yeah, Beardy McCabs, thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Oops. Got a little bit of lag, everybody. Stand by. This is the engineering terminal. Here we go. Nothing like a good engineering terminal. And then obviously this takes us off to the bridge. You know, I've always thought this about the mole, and I'll say it with the moth and the changes they made to it. I love the bridge. I think they did a great job with that. Unlimited, thank you for the follow. Really, really nice. I do dig it. Let's go ahead and get in the pilot seat. Check it out. Let's power the ship up. Actually, let me put my headphones on so I can hear how she sounds. Let's hear how she sounds here, people. Oops, stand by 1 second, everybody. I just need to jump in. Okay, there we go. All right, let me go back in. Let's power the ship up.
Systems activated.
Yeah, sounds good. Did they give us lamp? Ah, yes, it has lamp. It's nice. Hopefully all new ships from here on out. Okay, all the good stuff. MFDs seem like they are in decent places. And just looking all around here. Again, nice bridge. I think the mole has a great bridge. Let's go to exterior here. Swing us around. Take a good look at it. Yeah, I mean, I think those arms, the grabby arms, feel really, really good. Yeah, I think they feel really, really good. I like it. Let's try lifting off here. Actually, let's go into VTOL mode. And we'll hover a bit. Just give her, won't go for a full flight test here, but we'll just, we'll test sort of maneuverability here. Just roll, yaw, all that stuff. Oh yeah, not bad feeling, not bad. Pretty responsive. Yeah, it feels pretty good from a response standpoint. As always, the first thing I do with ships is just sort of test their overall maneuverability. Yeah, it feels good. I mean, the ship feels good. Oops, let's see here. What did I do? There we go. Let's lower our gears again. I always like to, you know, it's been a while. Let me check something real quick here. Turn on my advanced HUD. I always prefer that. Okay, yeah. All right, let's go ahead and lower down. How do I switch, how do I switch into the disintegration mode on here? Does anyone know? M? Go into mining mode, essentially. Okay. Okay. Okay, yep, that takes us into that. Disintegration field or fracture field. And then how do I deploy? Does anyone know how I deploy? It does have lamp, yep, it does have lamp. You can see that here. Okay. Okay, there we go, there we go. Oh, can't do it with gear down. That makes sense. That makes sense. Let me raise my gear here. Oh, look how fast that was. There we go. Oh, those are pretty epic, I gotta admit. Okay, that's a pretty sweet animation. Alright, we gotta give it to CIG. We gotta give it to CIG on that one. That's pretty sweet. Damn it. Damn it, CIG, that's pretty badass. I do dig that a lot. I do really dig those. That feels super industrial. Yeah, that's really cool. That animation is slick. The sound is good. Yeah, that's rad. I like that. I dig it. Here we go. There's our field. So let me swing this around here. Oops. That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant to do. Oh, that's interesting. My keybinds are all wonky. Why is it doing that? That is so weird. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Yeah, that looks awesome. I gotta admit, that looks pretty damn cool. Here I am saying it. I didn't think I would say it. I used to not be a big fan of the mole, but here I am saying that I'm kind of excited to go out into some salvage operations with this ship. I gotta say. Let's see.
Systems off.
Oh, bring the other arms out? Yeah, I could do that. I probably need to be taken off for that too, right? Let me do that.
Systems activated. Systems on.
All right, we need power to the web or engines. There we go. Oops.
Engines off. Engines on. Launch complete.
Now, if I... Does opening the exterior push out those? I actually don't know. Probably not. No, it doesn't. It just opens the elevators. That's okay. I will try it. Let me get out and we'll go jump with those. Hey Grim, I can't wait to see a salvage variant of the Arastra. Yeah, that'd be cool as hell. I would definitely buy that. Okay, this takes us down to our main laser there in the front, our salvaging head. Oops. Okay. There we go. It's extended. Pretty damn sweet. Yeah, I like that. You got good... actually, let me power it on here. Okay. Yeah, you have good rotation. I remember this on the mole. You got good speed rotation. No issues there. Yep, switch between braid and cinch just like you always can. Yeah, nice speed. I like it. I like it a lot. You can see it rotating around there. Good functional. Whoops, weird lighting issue there. Okay, let's see here. Oh, lamp on turret. Sorry, I should check that. You're right, Lynx. I should check that. Shell, it does. Yes, it does. It does. There's actually 2 of them. Solomon says no lamp on turrets. That's a little disappointing. That's a little disappointing. Is that true? That's true. No lamp on turrets. Remember though, lamp is coming to visors eventually. Right? It is coming to visors eventually. These are size 2 heads. I'm not sure what the reclaimer is. I forget actually. I thought the reclaimer was size 3. And yes, this is live. This is in the live PU. Yeah, this is live. Someone's asking for lights. I can check the lights. Vermithrax says size 2 on the reclaimers until the remake. Okay, did they confirm the reclaimer would get bigger ones when it gets remade? There's our lights. Cool. Yeah, and I believe the pods do have their own lights. That is true. I remember that. Yeah. Cool. I dig this. I dig it a lot. The reclaimer is size 2, same size at the moment. Okay, I didn't realize that. I thought it was size 3. I was overestimating CIG apparently already. Okay, let's see here. Oh god, that's kind of cool. Just a second, everyone. The wife is messaging me. But yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. I dig it. I dig it a lot. Let me switch back over here to our main screen. I'm excited for this ship. I think it's a great industrial salvager. I think the moth or the mole hull arrangement and the way the ship works is really situated nicely for a salvage ship. So no complaints there. We'll get back to some questions here. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Give me 1 second. I'm just looking for something. 1 second. Stand by, everybody. My computer has decided to say nope. Pause yourself, Grim. Okay. All right, let's see here. Okay, get back to some questions real quick as soon as I can get Discord to play nice. Bear with me, everyone. Bear with me. Okay, next question. My my name is Sam. That's a tough one, Sam. Question, do you think they'll ever add a way to change your ship in game between variants? As I dry dock my ship and I could change I dry dock my ship and I could change the mole to moth or vice versa on a timer and at cost. No, I don't think that's gonna ever happen unless it's a ship that's slated to do that, right? And here's the thing. there are some ships that are slated to do that, right? The Kraken Privateer is one that is supposed to have that functionality. But until we have that, no, I don't think we're going to, you know, the just general ships that are close in function, I don't think we're going to see anything like that. I think it's only for ships that have that, I guess you would consider a kit, right? You know, with the Kraken Privateer, that is a kit. You can get a conversion kit. It has to be a ship that supports that, right? Okay. Hold on one second, everybody. If you all wouldn't mind just holding for 1 minute while I look for something here. I am looking for something. Give me 30 seconds. Give me 30 seconds. Where is it? Looking for something, looking for something. Okay, found what I was looking for. Found what I was looking for. Okay, there we go. Did that. Let me get back to the questions now. Thanks for that patience, everyone. Love you, appreciate you. Here we go. Back to questions. Gasoline Moth says, Graham, do you think the Moth is capable of bringing in enough profit to split 4 ways and be competitive? If I have 4 people, I'm taking a reclaimer. Moth would have been better at 2 to 3, in my honest opinion. Here is my thinking on that, and I know exactly where you're going with that. And that was, and I told someone this just the other day. This was the first thing I thought of when I knew this was going to, the Salvager was going to be a mole variant. And I started thinking about it's not always just how much it can carry, it's how fast the loop is, right? So when you go out with a reclaimer, you might be out for a good long while to fill it up, deal with multiple big ships, right? So your crew may be out there. That's good for when your people have, you know, 2, 3, maybe 2 hours to go out and spend with you. This ship may be perfect for that group of people to go out for 40 minutes, right? Or smaller, whatever the length of time is. I'm just making it up off the top of my head. But a smaller length of time, you might be able to make 2 or 3 trips in the time it takes to fill that reclaimer up. So we're going to have to see through testing what is the most efficient way to make money. It really depends on what you're trying to do. Are you trying to complete a gameplay loop in a certain amount of time, or are you trying to maximize profit? So it's going to really come down to that. Fantech649 says, what do you think our odds are of getting a battlecruiser Coramore paint? Could be fun to have a metallic pink death machine. That would be cool. I don't think we're getting that, although I do think we're going to get probably a really cool battlecruiser concept paint. Definitely going to have to get that. Why do I feel like that paint's going to be like $60? I don't know. C Daddy CIG, I know he's not going to give us any hints, but why do I think a battlecruiser paint is like $60 at least? Sam says, do you think the SU and the mole will increase to make it more viable? A prospector with mole bags has almost the same amount of cargo. I do sort of wonder if the mole is going to get a pass where they alter maybe how it's carrying bags and thus make it to where it can carry more, or maybe they bring in a new bag type that you can attach to the mole that has a bigger capacity. There's a couple ways around that. We'll have to see. That's a good question, though. That's a good question. I think a lot of people with the release of the Moth are asking questions about the mole. You know what I mean? Orlando Noble says, how much for Kraken paints? Kraken paints are going to be about $25. I already know. I don't know. I just think so. Whatever the Kraken paints are, though, they'll be worth it because it's the Kraken, for God's sakes. It's all worth it. It's all worth it. All right. Okay, let's see here. Going back to my questions. Jock Hop says, with the Genesis and Endeavor officially announced as post 1.0 ships, do you think the Nautilus and Orion will join them? Well, you know, we can switch over to our, actually, let me pop that up. Let's go ahead and take a gander on that. It's good conversation here. We'll add some ships here. You talked about the Endeavor. You talked about the Genesis, the amazing Genesis Starliner, and then you asked about the Nautilus, one of my favorite ships, and the Orion. As post 1.0 ships, what do I think on that? So, yeah, I mean, to be totally honest with you, I do think the Orion's a post 1.0 ship. The Endeavor, obviously post 1.0. So I think John Crew even said as much. When it comes to the Genesis Starliner and the Nautilus, I do think the Genesis is probably a post 1.0 ship. I think CIG is going to focus on NPC passenger transport on a smaller scale. I also think that all three of these ships, the Orion, the Endeavor, and the Genesis, are going to get a rework on par with the Pioneer. It's still going to do its role, but it's going to get a rework that changes some fundamental things about it. It's still going to be the role it is, but I think that the ships are going to see some big changes, and that could affect when it gets targeted for release. I do think it's slightly different for the Nautilus. 1 second. One second. I think the Nautilus is not a post 1.0 ship personally. I do think they want to get mine gameplay in. I think that we just may not see that until next year. I have a little bit of a concern though that the first mine laying ship we see will be a smaller ship actually. But I do know that I think when Execute talked to John Crew and Ben Curtis, it was mentioned that there would be bigger mine layers. So I still think it's in the plans. I do think the Nautilus is a ship we'll see before 1.0 though. I do really feel that way. Let's see. Tibble says, do you think it's worth upgrading to a Moth from a raft since it has upgraded capabilities and similar cargo capacity? I've already got a reclaimer. Maybe. I mean, I think yes, I guess, because you're getting the salvage capability and the cargo capability in the Moth from the raft. So I guess I would say yes. I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it. Yeah. That's me though. That's subjective. Let's see here. Hopefully I answered that question right. At least I think I'm reading it right. Zig says, what manufacturer do you think will release the next Generalist ship? I think it's sorry everybody. I think maybe it's going to be Anvil with that ground Generalist vehicle. We heard about that. What was that? The Auxilla? Maybe it's that. VMXEO says Consolidated Outland Generalist ship. Yeah, maybe. I would hope for that. That'd be really cool. It's possible. It's a good question, though. I think the Clipper was very popular. Captain Jennings says, question, do you think the Cat will get a redesign of its cargo area and perhaps some tractor beams on rails like the Hermes? I think it deserves it. And personally, I think it needs it. Yeah, I do think it needs it. Zeta Udon says, question, does the Moth, you think that the command module tech could be leveraged to help with the docking collar of the Legionnaire? I think I see what you're saying. I don't think they're the same. I think the Legionnaire is going to use hacking and just general docking tech. So no, I personally don't see them as linked. Killer Tank says, do you think CIG should focus more on updating older ships to gold standards, as there's a lot of ships that have not had their component pass yet? I don't think they need to focus on it any more than they are now, and that's still because we don't have certain tech in game. So even if they did spend the time now to get it up to gold standard, they'd still have to go back to it. We're missing Maelstrom. We're missing some functionality in ships, or some tech in ships still. So I personally, I think they should. I think they should keep going how they are and really make an effort once they get what they consider 1.0 features playable, like ship features, then make sure they do a pass on all the ships. But I hear what you're saying. Let's see here. Stand by, looking at questions here. Cosmic Turtle says, on that progress screen you had up, it said the Kraken is further along than the Pioneer, despite the Pioneer being worked on for a whole year before its release. Wait a second, no, did I read that wrong? But despite the Kraken being worked on for a whole year before the Kraken, is that really true? Well, the Drake Kraken is at White Box Gate Review. The Pioneer, we just haven't gotten update past the point that it was in White Box. It may be past that yet, but CIG has not said as much. I only update this when CIG has officially said a ship has moved to the next point. But I do think the Kraken will probably move ahead of the Pioneer regardless. I think the Kraken's a more straightforward ship than the Pioneer. Don't know if I'll get through all the questions tonight, everyone. We're just going to take a few more. There's a lot of questions. I will try to circle back to these questions when we do Sunday night stream, though, okay? I give you my word. I give you my word on that. Huge turnout tonight, though. My dog is barking. Can you all hear the dog? Hopefully not. Let me know if you can hear the dog. I might have to go get the dog. When she barks, she likes me to hold her. Yes, you can hear the dog. Okay, I'm going to grab the dog. Hold on a minute. All right, we have a dog with us. We have a dog with us. Okay. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. My week is going good. Thank you. All right, a few more questions, and then I'll get to the rest of the questions on Sunday's show again, because we have a lot here, a lot of questions. 241 in Twitch, 246 on YouTube. That is epic. You all are amazing. Dog cameo incoming. Can you all see the dog? There it is. Dog cameo complete. There we go. Let me see. There we go. All right, everybody. Ball Zepper says hydrating here with a soda. Appreciate that. Mix RSC, Bip, Fumania, thank you for those follows. Appreciate you. A couple more questions here. Cosmic Troll says, okay, nope, we answered that question. My name is Sam says, question, do you think the Kraken will get an SCU increase? Mal, thank you for the follow. It's possible. The Kraken already carries a ton of cargo. It's about 800 less than the Hull C, maybe, yeah, about 800 less than the Hull C, if I remember correctly. It already carries a ton of cargo, so I don't know if it needs a cargo increase, but anything's possible. I mean, I really cannot wait to see what the revised interior concept is looking like. Hopefully CIG shows us that sooner rather than later. Edison says, do you think we could get any new info about the reconcept of the Liberator at some point this year? And do you think it will change much? Well, we know the last update we got was that it was in pre-production. I don't know if it needs to change much. It's a newer concept. I think the areas it may change, though, are in SCU cargo capacity, stuff like that. But it is a newer concept, so I don't know if it needs to change that much. Let's see here, a couple more questions. Keep It Secret says, do you think they'll ever rework the MSR? It might be the one I used to get. It might be the one I used to get to the Moth, but it has real relevance if it works in future for data running. Yeah, I mean, I think the MSR is going to get some love. I do think the MSR was sort of repositioned as a little bit of a general purpose ship. With that size increase, it's got a much bigger cargo capacity, and if you remove the data running element of it, the ship could have just been a nice big multi-crew explorer ship. So I think the MSR still has a future. I think CIG is going to go back to it. I think it will get that second entrance one day. They may even make a variant of the MSR. I think there's more future there for the ship, and it will get that love. It's actually still not a bad ship. It's been a while since I've flown it, but it still does what it does well, just as a general purpose ship. Solomon the Vengeful says, do you think there will ever be a ground salvage vehicle? Yeah, I think there'll be one at some point, for sure. Yeah. Asame says, question, when do you guys decommission the old Fleet Viewer in favor of the new one? I don't know if we will decommission it for a while. I know Starlet, who may still be in chat, Starlet is wanting to opt for something that's more like a toggle, I think. And Starlet, correct, I'm sorry if I have that wrong, but I think she's wanting to opt for a system where you can toggle between the old version and the new version, and we may keep that like that for a while, and then eventually switch it over to the new one. Let's see here. Couple more questions. My name is Sam says, do you think they'll ever add a way to change your shipping game between okay, that's an old question. Some of these questions get picked up twice. Prop Knuckle says, in Fleet Viewer, will more ships with interior cargo and hangars get the see-through thing like the Idris? There may be more already, not sure. I think we want to do it. I think it's just figuring out what ships to do it to. I know me and BMXU had talked at one point, maybe it's ships over 100 meters or something like that. So we've discussed it before. Do you think CIG will buff the SCU? This is from Sam. Do I think CIG will buff the SCU on the mold to make it more... Okay, see, that's a question we got to before. What's going on? Hold on a minute, everybody. Okay, so there's a bunch of questions here that I'm going to have to circle back around to because there's a ton of questions. Mal, thank you for the subscription. I appreciate it. Blade Runner, thank you for that follow. We're going to do the show on Sunday night, and we're going to give this this Argo Moth away. Again, that is a moth with the Love Struck paint, with a game package, and lifetime insurance. So we're going to give that away on Monday. It's going to be awesome. When we do that, I'll still have these questions. I have them saved, so we'll be able to get back to that. Let me look here real quick. Okay, I think I know. Stand by. So yeah, that's what we'll do. I do have to run and I have to go do something for my daughter. Hopefully all you understand. It's been an awesome show though. The Argo Moth. I think we're excited about it. I think some people don't understand it. Some people don't like it. That's all okay. I think it's going to be a great year for ships. I really do. You know, we have the Ironclad coming, Galaxy's coming, the Kraken's in development. The Kraken's not coming this year, by the way. I didn't say that. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of great ship stuff happening. I do think the Moth is a good addition to the salvage gradation of or progress of ships. You know, I think it fits in there nicely. I do think the Moth, you know, the mole and moth kind of ship hull layout structure is great for salvage. So I think if you are one of those people that are considering the ship, go with what you feel. I do think it's a solid ship. I added it to my fleet, although I'm kind of a salvage nut. I'll probably buy any ship that's a salvager, but I do think it's worth it. I really do. I think it's a solid ship. I'm really excited for it. Hopefully, you know, next month we see an exciting ship. I know so far we've gotten variants this year. We got the Hermes. We've now got the Moth. But new ships are coming. We know we're getting the Stingray. We know we're getting some new stuff. So be excited. I don't know if it's rentable yet. Ruger Blood Moon says it there. The Carrack is actually a ship I really hope gets an update soon. It really needs a detail pass on the exterior. The interior still looks great, but the exterior really needs some work. Okay. So hopefully, CIG, if you're listening, please, Carrick, give it a little bit of love. It's on my melt list. I don't want it to be on the melt list. Okay, everyone. It's been an awesome show. Thank you for the follows. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the support as always. You're all amazing. I hope you have a great rest of your few days. We'll be back on Sunday where we will give away an Argo Moth. Really cool giveaway ship, actually. Thank you, CIG, for providing that. Everyone, I'm going to send you over to our good buddy Zero State when you get over there. He looks like he's doing some PvP bounties and some executive hanger runs, so make sure you give him a little bit of that STARJUMP love when you go over there, and hit that follow button if you haven't already with him. So everybody, have a great night. I love you. Thanks for showing up. C Daddy CIG, thanks for coming and hanging out. Always love when CIG folks come over, chill with us for a bit. Do appreciate it. Everybody, have a great and wonderful rest of your night. Grim out.